No end in sight to load shedding just yet. Eskom says the power system will take 10 days to bounce back. The new draft mining charter may prove just as controversial as its predecessor. The Mineral Council of South Africa says it doesn't believe the proposed regulations will promote growth. This is eNews at 7 p.m. I'm Tony Ndoro. Very good evening to you. Now, South Africans could have their lives disrupted by load shedding for another week or so. Eskom says it'll take 10 days for the power system to recover from the effects of the recent strike. This week saw the first round of load shedding since 2015. Workers protested after Eskom said there would be no salary increases this year. The power utility has blamed the outages on sabotage by protesting workers. It's a claim unions are denying. The parastatal has agreed to begin wage negotiations on Tuesday. Now, government says the proposed mining charter will stabilize the sector, but the Mineral Council of South Africa believes it won't promote investment or growth. The charter has been gazetted and is open for public comment. It calls for a minimum of 30% BE ownership for new mining rights. Malungelo Boy has more.
Gweda Mantashe says the 8 weeks of public engagements have been encouraging. The draft mining charter is now out for public comment before it's sent to Parliament.
Some people said to us, listen, 30% is not substantial. And we said to them, it's not substantial if you compare it to 100%. But if you compare it to zero, where we were at the beginning, it's very substantial. So the principle that we chose to use is systematic graduation of ownership.
Companies would have to give 10% of its shares to employees and mining communities.
It is not a cost, but an investment to actually commit your workers to be part of the company by giving them shares. 5% is not a big call for those workers, because it is those workers who are converting your investment into wealth.
The Mineral Council of South Africa says it supports the 30% black ownership target on new mining rights, but says it's concerned about some aspects. In a statement, it says some of the elements of the mining charter do not promote competitiveness. The council also says it does not support the free carried interest of 5% allocated to each of labour and communities, saying that given South Africa's mature mining sector, a 10% total free carried interest on new mining rights will materially undermine investment. The public has 30 days to submit their comments. Malungelo Boy, Pretoria.
The information of Liberty Life clients could be at risk. The financial services group has launched an investigation after its systems were hacked. Clients received text messages from the company last night informing them that an external party has gained unauthorized access to information. Liberty says the hackers alerted the company to potential vulnerabilities in its systems and are now demanding compensation. According to the Sunday Times, the hackers obtained sensitive information about some top clients. It's reported the hackers have demanded payment of millions of rands not to release the data. Liberty is refusing to comment further. The Gauteng MEC for Human Settlements has visited the family of a man who died during protests in Istras. 59-year-old Arthur Moses is believed to have died after he inhaled gas as police attempted to disperse a crowd. His family says a tear gas can landed in their yard. The community was protesting against high municipal tariffs and a lack of housing. Lindo Kuhlekulu has the story.
A family in grief. The Moses family is still coming to terms with the death. His son Joseph was part of the protest. He says he went home when police started shooting at the crowd.
Police were shooting and throwing tear gas and all that stuff. So after that, I told that we have to go home now because it's getting rough.
The family says the protest was close to his house and one of the tear gas cans was fired into his yard.
When the police shot the tear gas, one of the canisters flew into the yard. So where they were sitting, it ricocheted on the wall. See, and those fumes, we think it's because of those fumes that he inhaled.
Gauteng Human Settlement MEC Dikgang Uhuru Muilwa visited the family today. He is denying there was any brutality and says the police have a right to respond to criminal elements.
The police are empowered by law to act, right, and use whatever instruments they can use to ensure that people, there's a protection of public property and life. Unfortunately, in this situation, we are told that the police had to use tear gas to quell the situation, and the old man inhaled the fumes of tear gas and died.
The MEC is confirming the family's suspicion of tear gas inhalation, but the police maintain the death wasn't related to the protest. The family says all they can do now is wait for the post-mortem results. Lindokuhle Xulu, Pretoria.
The dire state of health services across the country have been a talking point recently. Now, Gauteng Health MEC Gwen Ramakgopa hopes to turn things around in her province. She visited a health facility today to hear about problems faced by patients. A department is still trying to recover from the shame of the Life Esidimeni tragedy. Zikona Chona has the story.
Patients at Esangweni Community Healthcare Center got the opportunity to voice their concerns with the head of health in the province. The center is regarded as one of Gauteng's best. Many who use the clinic regularly agree.
Nake happy ka service ya mo Sangweni. I can have bothata cause I see mathomo kitla mo Sangweni clinic.
Others have to travel for this service. They say clinics in their areas are not up to standard.
Doya Bosmont clinic ngawana wa 3 days after birth. Bachishuka barjigisa barangora dzura Florida. Do attend a clinic at Florida haya Bosmont. So service on a bed but we change. Well, because one wa 3 days to attend emergency. I want to jigisa one wa 3 days. Akathaba ka service yaba.
Ramakgopa says she acknowledges concerns raised by patients and says this should not be happening. She was appointed MEC after the Life Esidimeni tragedy, where 144 patients died at the hands of the Gauteng Health Department. She's now on a mission to clear the department's name.
Since I was called to assist after the Life Esidimeni tragedy, there are two things that the health system in Gauteng must recover from. Firstly, it is the reputation damage. It tarnished the whole Gauteng health system. We need to recover from that.
Ramakgopa says a further challenge is the billions owed to service providers and lawsuits against the department, but insists her department is not collapsing. While this facility stands out, Ramakgopa says there is still a lot of work to be done. She says her budget speech next week will give details on how the province plans to spend its funds in the year ahead. Zikona Chona, Tembisa.
Coming up after the break, we'll tell you why these foundations represent broken promises. Stay with us. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to a story that shows how rampant corruption has let communities in need down. Slabs of concrete in the northwest are the closest thousands have come to having a house they were promised. The former Northwest Premier Suprema Omapilo mentioned his province's housing failure. At the same time, he announced his departure as Premier. Our reporter Michael Apple went in search of those slabs.
These scenes in the Northwest's provincial capital in late April eventually led to this.
As one embarks on early retirement from the position of Premier in the province, there are over 5,000 foundations where contractors have been paid over the last 22 years or so, and those houses are not there. So one of the things we're going to do is to make sure that we look for the culprits.
The former Premier Suprema Omapilo is indeed correct, and this is one of the 5,000 slabs that represent homes that were never built in the Northwest. The former Premier now decided to raise this issue in his resignation speech at Luthuli House. But why?
For him to say that, for me, I say he must have just shut up and not say anything.
China Dodovu. He was the mayor of Klerksdorp between 2006 and 2010. He was also crucially the director for housing at the Matlosana local municipality from 2001 until 2004. He denies any fingers can be pointed at him, believing instead
he stood up, do what I called breast-beating bravado, that he's a pioneer against corruption and all that. He has dismally failed in that respect. That is why the people of this province, in their multitude, rose to the occasion and rejected him.
Wherever the blame lies, these people suffer the tangible consequences of corruption and collusion.
Since by 1998, ke dula extension 13, and I can have slabs since 6 years since I argue. And no yana se krekile le mokhukhu wa ka o wele. Since ba re tshepisa no yana ba tshetse mobu ba re ba tlo aga go a tshwana ha ba botsa go tsalang ka di RDP ba re fe dikarabo.
The Department of Local Government and Human Settlements reported to the Matlosana Municipal Council on the 16th of August last year. It shows that in Kanana Extension 13, where we filmed, about half of the 36.1 million rand budget had been spent and that the contract with Relay Development was terminated. If the slabs have been there for as long as they have, it's clear this isn't the first time a contractor hasn't delivered. Have you heard of contractors invoicing for houses they don't build? Is it common knowledge here?
Yeah, it's common knowledge. It's common knowledge. We hear about it, that people have submitted claims, have invoiced government, and they have been paid, and on the ground that there are no structures and superstructures.
We are living in a one-room shack. I'm sharing a bedroom with my 3 siblings, and I'm staying with my single parent. She's not working, and she's also a breadwinner. It's been 6 or 5 years that we've been having these concrete slabs, but nothing seems to work or nothing seems to add up.
It is the responsibility of the quality controllers, of project managers, of officials of the government who are supposed to verify the claims and check whether are the houses, are the slabs, are the foundations when they effect, before they effect payment.
Mokhukhu o di phahla di ngata ha o kena moya pula ya kena le lerwele la kena thongolongwe e teng ya kena ka mo.
So you're confident this never ever happened under your watch between 2006 to 2010? You were never aware of any slabs for houses that were not built? Not
during our time. And as I also pointed out, who pays? It is the provincial government, because the project belongs to them.
These empty slabs are broken promises, a stark reminder and reflection of the persisting reality of so many. Michael Apple, Klerksdorp in the northwest.
Let's turn to neighboring Zimbabwe now, and opposition parties in that country have lost confidence in the country's electoral body, the ZEC. That's according to a team of South African researchers who are in Zimbabwe to check on its preparations for the July 30 elections. The much anticipated coming polls will be the first without former President Robert Mugabe on the ballot paper. Pindai Dube reports from Zimbabwe.
A team from the SA Institute of International Affairs has met with civic society groups, economists, human rights activists and members of the ruling party ZANU-PF and MDC opposition parties in Zimbabwe. There are 23 presidential candidates for the July 30 elections, while over 100 political parties are taking part in parliamentary and council elections.
For the first time in many years, President Mugabe will not be on the ballot paper, and the late Morgan Tsvangirai will not be on the ballot paper. So there's new political forces, but there is concern. I think we've spoken to a lot of political parties, we've spoken to civil society activists, economists, and people are concerned about issues, the non-transparency of the process, criticisms of the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, the ZEC, the fact that the voters' roll is still not available for anybody to check it, and there's a lack of trust, I think, in institutions.
2 weeks ago, MDC members protested in the streets of Harare, demanding transparency from the ZEC. They have accused the Electoral Commission of planning to rig elections in favor of ZANU-PF. At the same time, concerns about the country's ailing economy remain. Zimbabwe's unemployment rate remains stubbornly high even after President Emmerson Mnangagwa took over the reins from long-time ruler Robert Mugabe last year.
Investors are interested but have not yet made the plunge because they're waiting for some political certainty.
During his inauguration, Mnangagwa promised that Zimbabwe will hold free, fair and credible elections this year. Previous polls have been marred by violence. Pindai Due, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Here's a recap of your main stories this evening. No end in sight to load shedding just yet. Eskom says the power system will take 10 days to bounce back. Now, after months of anticipation, rapper AKA has released his third album, which is called Touch My Blood. The album features the hits The World Is Yours and Kaifa's Song. Ahead of the release, Ditiro Selepe attended a listening session, which was hosted by AKA.
Jam to The World Is Yours and be shook when you listen to Beyonce. With his last album being released in 2014, the rapper is back with the new album, Touch My Blood.
I had to dig deep. I went through a lot of, personal things, business things, and the reason why it's called Touch My Blood is because it really is my soul.
But he says he now realizes there's more to life than just making music.
For my fans, I needed to do this album. For myself, for my family, for my company. But now I feel like there's other things I want to do. Maybe I want to take my daughter to tennis. You understand? Maybe I want to learn French. Maybe I want to travel.
AKA will undertake a national tour to promote the album. Ditiro Selepe, Johannesburg.
That's it from me and the guys behind the scenes. We'll see you again next time. Good night.